Ursula Andress, cinema's most durable erotic image. She exists as a single perfect apparition, rising from the Caribbean surf in Dr. No, white bikini clinging to sunlight skin, the moment when glamour, danger and sex became inseparable from modern screen mythology. That image didn't just define her, it defined an era. But what followed is far more interesting. Strip away the Bond halo, and what remains is a career that tracks the migration of screen sexuality itself, away from studio polish and into the hotter, stranger, more volatile spaces of European genre cinema. This isn't a tour of respectability, it's a journey through heat, through pop art futurism, crime films soaked in sweat and desperation, decadent villas rotting from the inside, and jungles that strip glamour to the bone. This is Andress not as a fixed pin-up, but as a body in motion, adapting, weaponizing her beauty, and surviving inside films that increasingly had no safety rails. More than just sexy roles, they are performances shaped by an era obsessed with desire, power and collapse. And Andress remains stunning precisely because she never pretends or tries to do otherwise. The 10th Victim is a future where war has been replaced by legalised murderers' sport. Hunters compete in televised death matches for fame and fortune. Marcello Paletti thinks he's closing in on his 10th kill, the victory that will make him a celebrity. His target is Caroline Meredith, an American huntress who's also one kill away from her own 10th win. What Marcello doesn't realise is that the hunt has been reversed. Caroline is actually hunting him. The 10th Victim sees Ursula Andress as Caroline, cold-blooded glamour, seducing Marcello as cover while arranging his live televised execution, sponsored by a tea company no less, inside a Roman nightclub. Every costume is a weapon, every flirtation a distraction. Marcello Mastroianni plays Paletti as weary and charming, a veteran hunter who realises too late he's been outplayed. When he catches on, the game becomes mutual pursuit through Rome's psychedelic landscape. Swinging 60s nightclubs, ruined temples, and mod apartments. Andress's Caroline is ruthless, stylish, and completely immoral, a perfect predator in mod vinyl and bullet-firing brassieres. This is Elio Petri's candy-coloured satire of consumerism and violence, and Andress is its gleaming, deadly centre, beautiful, lethal, and utterly without sentiment. 10th Victim is available in a nice, if slightly over-yellow filtered 2K restoration from Kino Lorber in the US. In Red Sun, outlaws ambush a Japanese ambassador's train in 1870s America. They steal a ceremonial sword meant for the US president. The ambassador's samurai bodyguard must retrieve it or commit ritual suicide. He forces one of the outlaws, betrayed by his own partner, to help track down the thief across hostile frontier territory. Charles Bronson plays Link, the betrayed outlaw seeking revenge and his cut of stolen gold. Toshiro Mifune is Kuroda, the samurai bound by honour to recover the sword at any cost. Alan Delon plays Gauche, the slick outlaw they're hunting, always one step ahead, dripping with Gallic cool even in the American West. And Ursula Andress plays Christina, a tough frontier prostitute who joins the unlikely team. She's not there for adventure, she's escaping her own dead-end situation. As they face Comanche attacks, Mexican bandits and Gauche's double crosses, Christina proves she can survive anything these men dish out. Andress plays Christina, pragmatic and dust-covered, no romance, just hard choices and harder miles. This is a sweaty, violent international western where nobody's hands stay clean, and Andress matches Bronson, Mifune and Delon's exhausted realism mile for mile across unforgiving terrain. The original release from Studio Canal on Blu-ray of Red Sun was poorly encoded and from a terrible master. Thankfully, the label seen fit to re-release Red Sun with a new 4K restoration, which finally gives the film some respect, so ensure you pick up the later version. In Perfect Friday, a frustrated London bank manager devises a plan to rob his own employer of £200,000. He recruits a debt-ridden aristocrat and the man's beautiful wife, Lady Brit, to help execute the heist. The scheme requires the wife to seduce the bank's uptight senior manager, while the other two manipulate accounts and create alibis. And guess who is cast as the beautiful, seductive, scheming wife? Opposite Andress, Stanley Baker is Mr. Graham, the bank manager whose meticulous planning unravels the moment personal greed enters the equation. David Warner plays Lord Nicholas Dorset, Brit's aristocratic husband, desperate enough to risk everything but suspicious of everyone. The robbery goes smoothly, but once the money's stolen, trust evaporates. 3 thieves, 1 fortune, and nobody's sure they'll survive to spend it. As Lady Brit, Andress makes her sharp, amused and dangerous, playing games because she's a superior game player, and when things turn deadly, she doesn't blink. Perfect Friday is a clever, cold British heist thriller, where the real crime happens after the money's taken. Available on Blu-ray from now defunct UK label Network, remastered from the original negative, but with a moderate at best encode. In Stateline Motel, a young woman escapes a rape attempt and takes refuge at a remote roadside motel in rural Italy. The owners, a married couple, take her in, but the motel is already hiding criminal plans. The husband is plotting to rob a bank courier. When the rapist returns looking for the girl and police start asking questions, everyone trapped in the motel becomes either a target or accomplice. Ursula Andress plays Anna, the motel owner's wife, who immediately sees the girl as a younger version of herself, vulnerable, trapped by men, with nowhere safe to go. Eli Wallach is Aldo, Anna's husband, a small-time criminal whose schemes spiral out of control and violence arrives from multiple directions. Barbara Bach plays Michelle, the young woman whose presence destabilizes everything, terrified but resilient, recognizing Anna as both protector and cautionary tale. As violence escalates from criminals, police and a returning rapist, Anna and Michelle are caught with no escape route. Fabio Testi also appears as one of the criminals circling the motel, escalating tension. Andress plays exhaustion and suppressed fury, all glamour, heat, sweat and entrapment in a situation where every man is either predator or accomplice. This is Italian crime cinema at its most claustrophobic and hopeless. Stateline Motel is available in a very nice restoration from UK Blu-ray outfit Shameless. Fernando de Leo's Loaded Guns is a work of deceptive mechanics. It functions as a comedy grafted onto a brutal gang war narrative, utilising the chaotic backdrop of Naples as a staging ground for a calculated cross-continental swindle. The story follows Nora Green, a statuesque American air stewardess, rendering the job cool a good 20 years before Jackie Brown, who accepts a $100 errand to deliver a letter to Silvera, a local mafiosa played with a brooding physical menace by Woody Strode. While the film initially presents Nora as an oblivious target subjected to the ritualistic violence of Silvera's goons, the narrative eventually unmasks her as the American, a shadowy criminal mastermind playing 2 rival syndicates against each other. Ursula Andress at the centre delivers a performance of self-aware, predatory intelligence, navigating a landscape of bumbling thugs, corrupt officials, and a handsome circus acrobat played by Mark Porrell, using her iconography as a Bond girl as tactical camouflage. The film is a patchwork mismatch of different genres. Loaded Guns is available in a decent, if slightly warm-tinged restoration from Kino Lorber in the US. The Nurse, or the Sensuous Nurse depending on which region you're watching the film, is a classic commedia sexy setup built around a very specific plan. A rich older widower has a heart attack, and his greedy relatives decide to finish the job. Their solution is simple and stupid: hire an impossibly seductive nurse and let nature take its course. Ursula plays Anna, the nurse brought in as bait. The household turns into a pressure cooker of spying, jealousy and scheming, with everyone watching everyone else, waiting for the old man's heart to give out and the money to land. Plot-wise, it's a chain reaction film. One scheme triggers another, characters overhear the wrong thing, alliances flip, and the plan keeps slipping out of everyone's control. Andress, meanwhile, is the centre of gravity in pure European mode, playful, calculating, and never merely decorative, even when the film pretends that's the only point. The Nurse is available, like Stateline Motel, in a fine restoration from UK label Shameless. Ursula Andress's most notorious film, and not by accident, directed by Sergio Martino, Slaver the Cannibal God drops directly into the Italian cannibal cycle at the moment it was tipping from exploitation into outright infamy. The plot follows Andress as Susan Stevenson, travelling into the New Guinea jungle to locate her missing husband, whose expedition has vanished under mysterious circumstances. What she finds is not mystery, but extremity. The film features graphic cannibal rituals, prolonged scenes of animal cruelty, sexual violence, and moments that were widely interpreted at the time as implying bestiality. These elements weren't subtext, they were the selling point. In the UK, the film became one of the most infamous video nasties, seized under the Obscene Publications Act and banned outright during the 1980s moral panic around home video. Its reputation was built as much on what it showed as on the idea that it should not be seen at all. Andress's role is central. She is not a passive observer of the horror, she is forced through it physically and psychologically. Mud, blood, nudity, fear, exhaustion. This is not glamour, it is endurance. This is Ursula Andress at the furthest edge of the genre circuit, participating in a film designed to shock, provoke, and test the limits of what cinema was allowed to show, whilst also using her goddess-like beauty as selling point. Slave of the Cannibal God has been given a luxurious 4K UHD remaster from Severin, arguably better treatment than the film deserves, but it still never looked better. And finally, in Dr. No, James Bond investigates a missing agent in Jamaica and uncovers a plot to sabotage American rocket launches. The trail leads to Crab Key, a private island owned by the mysterious Dr. No. And then it happens. Ursula Andress emerges from the Caribbean surf in a white bikini, diving knife strapped to her hip, shell bag slung across her shoulder, water streaming off sun-bronzed skin. It's the single most iconic entrance in cinema history, the moment modern screen sexuality crystallised into image. Andress plays Honey Ryder, a local diver who lives rough on isolated beaches, collects shells and doesn't wait for rescue. Connery is Bond at his most lean and dangerous, still defining what the character would become. Andress makes Honey self-reliant and direct. She survived assault, killed her attacker, and built a life on her own terms. The bikini made her a star and defined an era. Andress created a template every Bond woman since has either copied or reacted against. That beach, that walk, that body. It's where Ursula Andress entered cinema mythology, stunned the world, and never left. That's all from us at The Last Disc on Earth, and remember, come the apocalypse, physical media will prevail.